Hey, how's it going over there?
Oh, the weather has been there was like a recent typhoon. I mentioned that there was an earthquake too last time. So it's has been a really complicated
Oh
situation here.
my,
And Hazel will not be able to come. I don't know if she mentioned you.
you didn't.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
she did. I
of
didn't get it.
yeah, certain things. I think she may not be able to go to two Sundays because she has to um I don't know, she's there's like this things that
Mm. She just froze on my end anyway. Yeah.
Same.
Lee. Well, I have no idea. I wonder if Lee will be able to be here. I know Carmen is having to transport a grandson or grandsons or something like that, and she is going to try to be on anyway, but she doesn't know for sure.
Okay. Okay.
Uh,
I was able to engage with Dorothy during the week.
and how was it?
Yeah, oh, Glee's gone. Yeah, it was good, but I'm not sure if we got as much engaging done as I would have liked to, in all honesty. But she is such a lovely person. She's so friendly.
oh, I'm so sorry for that one. I don't know what happened. Hello,
Mm.
Christina, are you still there?
Yes. Okay.
Pearl. Oh, is it on my end, right?
It
I
was
don't know
your
if it
end. Yeah, you
okay.
froze and then left.
Yeah. I was like, Christine, you frozen. Your face is not moving.
Botox.
I'm like, what happened? Oh, yeah. So I mentioned there was like a typhoon and coming here and out, and there's like a series of earthquakes. It's crazy. And then this week, something happened. So you know what? Like with the thing with our classes, we are discussing our lessons, and then I get to really experience what that you know what I mean? Like I had no choice but to experience such things. Yeah, I'm gonna tell more later on, but yeah, it's been like ah very roller coaster ride this week. Yep.
Wow.
And I had to use the dimensions, like the translocate teleportation. I had to use it because I had no choice.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Good timing.
Yeah, I know.
That's fun. Cool. Well, how about let's focus into the heavenly class, okay? And then if people join us, great. Hopefully I'll have my eyes open and can let them in. All right. Okay. Yes, Carmen, we can hear you, but we're engaging the heavenly class right now. All right, let's focus back here. All right, Glee, would you like to start?
Yes, sure. Well, what just saw was first I saw like this scroll again that is being handed over me, and yeah, and then I also saw like letters, like how do I say, like they're like scattered, and then I feel like God wants me to pile them up to make some letters. It's I don't know, but the thing is, I felt like yeah, it was more like a riddle, like God wanted to. I'm sorry, like in the heavenly class, like there's like riddles that we are or like more mysteries and expansion of some sort that we're gonna have in this class for sure. And I do see like this birds even through yeah, like there's eggs. I'm seeing eggs. So it gave me this revelation that it's a rebirth or something. Maybe there's like a rebirth that's gonna take place within the heavenly class with our class and whatever comes up from this. And yeah, I felt like my heavenly team was like just comforting me and like, you're doing well. Because it has been really difficult, trying to engage but going through a lot of things. And I do get that they're very proud of what I'm doing, and of course the rest of us. So yeah. Yep.
Awesome. Thank you. Now, would you nominate someone, please?
Oh, Carmen. Okay, it's Carmen. I miss Carmen.
Carmen, are you able to talk today? No. Okay. Well, she can't talk, but hey, you're here.
Girl. Yes, my girl. Yep.
Okay, Pearl, go ahead.
For me, it was like just this sense of love. So I think it's just like above the classroom, but in the classroom, where I just expanded my spirit and just saying how much I love this class. So I just sense this overwhelming feeling of love for everyone in the classroom. And I really love that. I've never felt like that about anything, really, that I really, really love something, which is like whatever. And the other was, I think I'm taking this too seriously. So I saw one of my I keep calling them helpers,
Okay.
ministering angels, whatever.
Sure.
Is Michael. He's the one who loves just being cheeky and having fun. And I just saw like we're chasing this ball. And the thought that came to my spirit was we can also learn through play. That's it.
That's cool. Okay, well, Carmen, I'm glad you joined us. And so if you have anything to share about your engaging time, just put it in the chat box, okay? As always, anything that you have to share, okay? So as I started engaging, I kind of felt a lot of disunity. And so I was asking Lady Wisdom and Arrayas, they help me govern. I was just asking them to help govern things. If there was some sort of enemy trying to attack or whatever was happening, to really help govern that and make sure that everyone was here who was supposed to be and no one was here that isn't supposed to be, and that whole thing. And so anyway, I felt like by the end of the engaging time, there was peace on it. And I don't have to be worried about that. So not that I should ever be worried, but you know what I mean? It didn't feel as bad. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah. So this last week, you guys did your homework, and Carmen, I know you missed last week as well. So I don't think, if I remember correctly, I got the recording up. And so I'm sorry about that. That's not very helpful in doing all the homework. One of the things I did tell everybody last week that is important to everyone doing the homework is that you don't just answer the questions. Because, and this has been happening in all the classes, it's not just your class, but a lot of people have been going through the questions and just answering them to turn in the homework, which is what you would do in a normal class. But this isn't a normal class. That's not the point of the homework. The point is to engage with whatever is in the homework. So for instance, if it says, engage the Lord about what is part of your identity, it does not mean write down part of your identity that you know. The point is to engage the Lord to discover new things about your identity. So I hope this makes sense. We don't want to go off of our experiences 20 years ago or whatever it is in our relationship with the Lord. The point is to have new experiences with him through the homework. And so I hope you guys did that this last week, that resonated more and you were like, okay, because here's what I have learned. There are some things that the Lord has said in certain seasons, this is not for you. And I took that as, this is not for me. It will never be for me. And that isn't what he meant. Because later on, then he brought me into it. But at that time, I was not ready, or it was not my season, or whatever it was. And so I do want you to make sure that no matter what you do, you try to engage the homework with him. So that doesn't mean force yourself into something you don't feel good about, but it does mean be open to what the Lord has for you in this season. And also, if he says this isn't for you, then you have to go, okay, I just need to write down, this isn't for me in this season, or I need to put this on the shelf. The Lord is saying, don't engage this right now. That's totally fine. Okay. So, okay, I'm sorry. I was just reading your thing, Glee. She said, yes, to be honest, I wasn't able to pass the homework because I haven't been getting deeper into whatever is in the homework. Okay. So I'm glad that you said that. That's important. I just want to make sure that this is something that really draws you into more relationship, that is the whole point. So do you guys have anything you'd like to share about what you did in the homework? Actually, before we start that, Pearl said something in her homework, which I appreciated, by the way. She said, hey, can you teach a little more on translating, transrelocation, and bilocation? You're really meaning like, what's the difference, right?
Yes, please. And I
Okay.
always love your examples.
Okay. Well, here is, do you remember, well, Carmen, you won't because you weren't there, but last week I talked about my very first experience in traveling in the spirit, where I went to Zambia, right? And I was on the phone with my friend as we were traveling in the spirit to Zambia. And when we were there, I could feel everything in my physical body, right? Okay, like I'm actually there in my physical body. So because I was in my physical body in my bed in Kansas in the United States, and I was also in my physical body in Zambia as we were traveling in the spirit, that is bilocating. Okay, so that is being two places at one time. Okay, if you are traveling from Kansas to Zambia, but you are no longer in Kansas, you are only in Zambia, that would be transrelocation. And that's in the body. If you are traveling only in the spirit and your body is not there, you are only traveling in the spirit with Yeshua to a certain place and working in the spirit there or whatever. People aren't seeing you. You know what I mean? If you are only traveling in the spirit, you are translating. Okay. You're not traveling in the body. You're just traveling in the spirit. Does that make sense?
Can you go over translocation again, please? Transrelocation?
Transrelocation is where you are traveling in your body from one place to another. So do you remember in the scriptures where Yeshua all of a sudden went through the crowd and he was no longer in one place, he was in another place? That would be transrelocating. His body moved from one place to another place without, walking, driving, flying, something like that, right? So I all of a sudden show up in your room, Pearl, and you see me and you hug me and I'm physically there and I am no longer in Kansas. I am transrelocating. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you would just be relocating if you were traveling by car or plane or whatever you're doing in the physical,
Yes.
we're transrelocating because we are doing that kind of supernaturally, if you will.
Okay. So let me just go over this. So translating is when I'm in the spirit, but my body is not here. So for example, if I were to go to another country and my body's no longer here, that's translating.
No.
In the spirit. If I'm in the spirit.
If you're in the spirit, but you're not traveling with your body. Translating is only traveling in the spirit. Okay, your spirit and your soul basically together.
Okay.
But your body is staying there. So you're there in England. Yeshua takes you in the spirit to the United States. You are operating in the spirit over me, around me, whatever. But your body is not here. Your body is only in England. Okay. That would be translating.
Right. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Helpful?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. Pearl, would you like to share your homework stuff?
Yeah, so about a new way, asking the Lord to show me a new way of how I function in the spiritual dimension. The Lord showed me I was like a honeybee in a hive and with countless other honeybees. And when I buzz, I give off like a frequency, but with all the other honeybees. Through this is like the Lord is showing me that like my buzz, I know it sounds silly, is like a form of worship, but at the same time a form of like defense, for want of a better word. But he revealed more of that to me by saying that a new way of functioning in that, especially during meditation, I should use that buzzing sound, and that would help with my frequency and my vibration. He also showed me another way in which I function, and that is I see myself like locked or connected with some other, I describe it as a geodesic pattern or structure where I'm hovering over something, but I'm connecting with lots of other pieces of that structure to form like a cover. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, that's cool.
Yeah. Okay. I even included pictures, Christine.
I know. I appreciated that.
Because it's difficult to explain.
It actually helped a lot when you did.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, good. And what I noticed by including the pictures, Christine, is that both of these things are similar in shape.
And especially how they connect like that with one another perfectly. Yeah.
Exactly. And I didn't realize that until I actually got a physical image.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty
The other, I'll just share one more because I don't want to take up a lot of time. What was the other one? The other one, with my partner, sharing experience I've had in another realm or dimension. So this experience is where I felt as though I was being pulled out of my body, but I tried to stop it because it's like weird, but it happened again and I was literally taken out. And I ended up on top of what looks like the world, for want of a better word, on top of this, I don't know, universe or whatever it might be. But there was like a flagpole, there was like a pole in the middle of this world, of the sphere. I was holding on to this pole, and like Jesus was next to me, and he's showing me the things below me, but I was so scared that I didn't want to see it. And not that I didn't want to see it, it's just that it was the first time I'm looking at something like that. And I don't know why, but I just felt a bit scared. I'm really sorry. But he was showing me like everything below him, like whether it be on the earth or whatever it is, but I'm holding on, you know. So it's a bit like this is I'm on top of the world kind of thing. And there's this flagpole and I'm holding on to this thing. It's like, and I'm looking down. It's like, no, it's like as though if you're a bit afraid of height. And I'm looking down, I went, yeah, it's all right. Yeah, it's okay. It looks okay. It's like, and he can tell, like, just get me off of here.
That's so funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So if that happens again, first of all, hopefully you won't be so scared. But secondly, you should just ask him to wrap you up inside of him and like so you don't have to worry. So there's nothing to be scared of. That probably will help. But that would be translating basically what you were doing because you were doing that outside of the body, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
Yes. Yes, of course.
That's awesome.
Yes. Okay.
All right. So, Glee, do you have anything you would like to share about your homework?
Oh yes, I have a lot.
Okay.
Okay. Whew. So yeah, this is a roller coaster, so please have the grace to keep up with me. But anyway, so the week two homework, well, I did see myself releasing this again. I'm always seeing this strands again, but I saw like peacock strands or feathers, stuff like that. But anyway, I do get like it's somehow I'm holding on to it, and then it there's strands, and they seem to appear to me like kites, and that I could access. So this new function is what I'm getting, that I have, that God is really highlighting to me, like I have to really believe in it, and I have to really like take authority or rule over it, because I do get it's I have the tendency to be really like, just chill, like, okay, whatever goes. And God is really like telling me that I really have authority and power and function in these realities and dimensions. And I'm not really, I think I don't really know or I don't really value. I think it's something that God is really working on me. The gifts and the the gifts and the mysteries that's been given to me. I think I don't really have. Sometimes I do get it's just like, "Oh," but I don't really realize it sometimes that I have been given that. So I think that's something that God is really showing me, like the new stuff for me, this in this kinds of in the new this dimensions or whatever. And I did put this off for a while because it's something that I already have or practiced before, but I really kind of put this off. And I do get God really is saying it's really something important for me this season, and would give me massive healing as well. So yeah. So number two, this is where it goes. Yeah, the experience, right? Because I've gone through a lot of redeeming the timelines this week, and especially just a few days ago, I had an expected situation where I was at this festival with my cousin, and we had a booth selling stuff, and I was almost harassed by two old foreign men, and it was so scary, a scary experience. And at first we were friendly, and it got escalated. I think there's something that the Lord is also showing me that I should be, how do I call that, engaging with when it comes to my country, and how the women in my country is being treated all over the world. Like the Filipino women are like being looked down upon, and it's something that God is really putting my heart on. And how do I say this? This this man almost touched my hand and like really trying to take my videos and photos. And I was so, but I really stood up and like, I will sue you for that. And I asked the police to really deal with them. But it was something that really triggered a lot of like, I was healing from that. I think that's what I went through the last few months. I was healing from a lot of harassments that I experienced in the past few years. And now this happened. So I'm like, God, what are we gonna do? And then a friend of mine, he's a mystic, I guess. He's a Christian. I don't know. Because I posted it on my story and I felt like I needed to post it and so that people could pray for me. And then he said, come back to the timelines. And this exactly, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is our homework. And I'm like, and I really did. It was amazing, Christine. I wouldn't probably be here talking to you girls right now if I didn't engage the timeline because it was a pretty scary experience for me. But yeah, I saw how God really, yeah, I saw like that timeline was really like no, like the glass when it breaks, it's like if God break that re reality, or I don't know what to call that. Like, and then I saw how he dealt with it, what's behind the scenes, and it really helped me. Like, wow, I fell asleep well after that because usually I cannot, but I did, and it was really a wow, Lord. And then we kept doing it for the past few days, even going back to timelines where I experienced this dread and fear, um and yeah, I was really, it was really a blessing, Christine. I tell you, this is probably one of the homework that I really appreciate and love because I really like, wow, like I felt a lot when I was engaging and I saw what's happening, like the realities are being like powderized. I'm like, and into pieces, and I'm like, I couldn't explain the feeling because I feel like something is also being taken from me. Like I don't even have to, like, the old way we're doing casting out demons, like it's not how it was. Like I was just going back to the timelines and I feel a lot of things coming out of me, like in my body, and like, wow, this is a different kind of thing. But anyway, and then the number three, I loved engaging, sorry, like in the heavenly class, their dimensions. I'm like, okay, God, take me. And I really saw one of their dimension, um, this tower with lots of flying birds. And we have a lot of birds in our heavenly class, right? So I believe that it's their dimension. There's many doors and portals in this dimension. And I saw like there's many, like, okay, this is like their like their castle and then the river, and there's many portals, and they just come in and out from that, like, whoo, I'm like, coming in, coming out. I'm like, okay, that's really a fascinating. And um I saw this heavenly team being, sorry, I saw that, like they have this realm where they also have a lot of wings or a lot of like other things to sharpen their weapons, or something. And they access and teleport through the realms and strands. Again, I saw the strands, but this time just different colors, and they're like braided, and they are accessed through that as well. So I'm like, this is really amazing because I get to know them, and they love calm and peace is what I'm getting. It's like I want to be with them more. Like I felt so relaxed and at peace. I'm like, can I just stay here for an hour or two? Oh, it's so relaxing, Christine. I'm like, wow, I never thought I could really engage with them, with the beings, and they really, how do you transfer something to you as well just by engaging with them? I really felt at peace. Like, oh my gosh, this is. Can I just be with you guys? I just felt that. Okay, but okay. Homework three. Um, I really had a hard time at first because I could not understand some of the things as well, like the translation, translating, and biologating. But I asked the Lord, just go, let's just go, Lord. And just like Pearl, I also draw because I don't understand what it was. It's like this, like that, and like it's like my realm, and then there's like, yeah, and there's that, and then there's like this hole on the, not holes, like circles, and then there's this, I cannot really explain, but you will just see it. And then like some beings were like adjusting them and some were like removing. It's like I asked the Lord what it was, and I'm like, and the Lord is like, I also asked him to remove the timelines where I am not, or like the realities that I shouldn't be in, or like, you know what I mean, that I'm not aligned. I don't know if you've mentioned that, Christine. I don't know if it's in the homework. I don't know, because sometimes in the dreams I also like you kind of talk to me as well. So I don't know if you've mentioned such things. But I saw that it's really like Alice in Wonderland when I kind of engage it, because I kind of, there's like a watch that I saw and it like reversed and like so fast. I even saw it blurred out. And I believe God was really aligning my timelines, because I was asking, am I in the right reality where I should be? Because I feel like this attack sometimes is not where God wants me to be. It's like these timelines are cursed, or like someone is putting me in a wrong timeline. I'm kind of really asking God about it. I was like, can you? And then I saw these beings like adjusting them, like, okay, this is where my timeline should be, like to just go further. And I'm kind of like still expanding. Okay. So it's really something new to me as well. But uh I saw this watch turning in, and I was taken and again to timelines, my personal timelines, where I felt a lot of dread and fear. And there was this one that I'm just gonna mention because it's really fun how God was showing me that because I was riding this vehicle when I was in high school, and this public vehicle is taking us to a dark road, and I was so scared, and I was like, I shouldn't be here. Why did I agree to go here? Because they're taking other passengers one by one. So we went to the dark road. I was so scared, and the Lord, I saw what the Lord did. I'm like, they I literally flew. I was literally flying, and he took me out, and I was literally flying going to my house, and I was like, what was that? And I'm like, the Lord said I should have maybe that's why I was drawn to like supernatural movies, like the flying, all these timeline reversed movies. I especially the Chinese series. I loved it so much. They love that. It's because I was really meant to like really function in the supernatural. It's something that God showed me. This is something that the enemy is really trying to pull down from you. You were supposed to be flying or levitating. It's crazy. The Lord is telling me you're supposed to be like, when or the Power Rangers, like you do that and then, like things just fly away. I was like, I could have done that to those two old men, but I did, you know what I mean? Like, so it's just like a lot of things that's why I can still smile and be happy, because God is showing me this is how you should function. I'm seeing the things that are being unveiled and being covered up for me to not function. So it's like, yeah, now I understand why, like, I have all these attacks maybe, or if that's the perception I name it, but like all these you know what I mean, Christine, because they don't want me to be there. But anyway, yeah, that's it.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing all that. Okay, remind me later. I have a movie that I need you to watch. Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah, you really will have to remind me because I will forget to tell you. But yes. All right. Well, I hope that yeah, that you're expanding in all of these things, what you were talking about. I'm pretty sure I did talk about the different timelines and basically redeeming them to come back to the I don't know. I always say ideal timeline or original timeline. I'm not exactly sure what it's called, but the ultimate timeline. But what you are doing is awesome. It's exactly what the Lord is calling us all to do, actually. It's interesting because he did tell me a long time ago. I was like, why are you having me do these things? And he told me that's what all manifest sons are supposed to do, that we're all supposed to be redeeming the time. And once we all start redeeming the times, then all of a sudden we will actually get to the redemption, because it will be that original timeline. By the way, Pearl, I don't know, you probably will never see this, but you have Zoom eyebrows on, and so whenever you do this, you have fluttering birds on your face is what it looks like. It is so funny. Anyway, when she was talking about the birds, I was like, look at the birds on Pearl's.
I will adjust it for the next lesson.
Oh, you
Thank
don't have
you.
to. It's funny. I used to do that with a lip color, and I would do this to engage, and I would have lips on my forehead. And so, anyway, yeah, fun to have girls in this class. All right. Well, how about let's switch gears some, shall we? I'm excited about today. It's interesting, Glee, when you said you were engaging the class and you felt like, I don't know if you just said today or there will be a new birth. But
Rebirth. Yeah, birth. Yeah.
rebirth, that's
Birthing because I
today.
saw the eggs hatched. Yeah.
Okay, so today we are talking about being grafted in. And so actually it is a lot about a rebirth. So it was such a good thing when you said that. Okay, so if you guys want to join me, I am absolutely sure that Pearl will want to, but we need to read in Romans chapter 11. Okay, so I'm gonna open up my Bible. Romans chapter 11, verses 11 through 24 is what I have written down. Hopefully that's accurate. Oh,
Sorry, Romans chapter 11, verse
11, 11. So chapter 11, verse 11. Okay. All right. So 11 through 24 is what I have written here. I am going by faith because it has been since last year that I wrote it down. Okay. So tell me, are you ready? Okay, I'm reading out of the Tree of Life version. It's my favorite. I say then, they did not stumble so as to fall, did they? May it never be. But by their false steps, salvation has come to the Gentiles to provoke Israel to jealousy. It's really interesting, right? Now, if their transgression leads to riches for the world and their loss riches for the Gentiles, then how much more their fullness? But I'm speaking to you who are Gentiles, insofar as I am an emissary to the Gentiles. I spotlight my ministry if somehow I might provoke to jealousy my own flesh and blood and save some of them. For if their rejection leads to the reconciliation of the world, what will their acceptance be but life from the dead? If the first fruit is holy, so is the whole batch of dough. And if the root is holy, so are the branches. But if some of the branches were broken off, and you, being a wild olive, were grafted in among them and became a partaker of the root of the olive tree with its richness, do not boast against the branches. But if you do boast, it is not you who support the root, but the root supports you. You will say then, branches were broken off so that I might be grafted in. True enough. They were broken off because of unbelief, and you stand by faith. Do not be arrogant, but fear. For if God did not spare the natural branches, neither will he spare you. Notice then the kindness and severity of God. Severity toward those who fell, but God's kindness toward you, if you continue in his kindness. Otherwise, you too will be cut off. And they also, if they do not continue in their unbelief, will be grafted in. For God is able to graft them in again. For if you were cut out of that which by nature is a wild olive tree and grafted contrary to nature into a cultivated olive tree, how much more will these natural branches be grafted into their own olive tree? Okay, so we're talking about being grafted in. I'm don't know if you're understanding all of this or not right now, but I truly have never understood being grafted in because I was not a gardener. I have never been a person who likes to garden or do anything to do with that. Okay. That's been something that I've never cared about. And I blame my mom because she would always make me weed in the garden and do nothing else. And so I hated weeding and I decided I hated gardening back a long time ago. But because of this, I haven't learned very much about plants and taking care of plants. Are any of you gardeners? Pearl, do you know anything about grafting?
I have an apple tree that has been grafted. So one side of the apple tree produces red, juicy apples, and the other side produces like all green apples. But they have one kind of root, kind of trunk, and out of that comes two branches.
Interesting. So one thing I learned about grafting is that when you have okay, say your apple tree, right? I don't know which was your original apple tree, if it was green or red apples, but so you have this apple tree and it has some nice fruit, say, okay? When you graft something in, a branch has to be taken off basically and cut to where then it comes and joins in. What happens is there are on the DNA of the tree, there is DNA that is dormant until there's grafting that happens. And when the grafting happens, the DNA that's in the original tree and the DNA that's in the grafted branches, both of them not only join together, but they have something inside of them that is only awakened when it's grafted. Both of them, which is really interesting. I didn't know that before. I thought, oh, it's just like one's becoming another or something. I don't know what I thought, but there's something that there has to be the grafting in for the fullness to happen on both plants. And so, and it has to do with epigenetics. So it has to do with these things that are kind of lying dormant. And this is what happens in all of us as well. So the reason it's talking about being grafted in is it talks about us Gentiles. I think everyone here is a Gentile, I would think. Anyway, us Gentiles being grafted in to Judaism, basically, as the root. Okay. So the root are the Jewish people. We're being grafted in through Christ, through Yeshua, being grafted into the tree. The root is still the olive tree is what it said, but it's the root is the Judaism. But Judaism can't come to its fullness without Yeshua and without the grafting in of the Gentiles. Also, the Gentiles can't come to the fullness without being grafted into Judaism, right? And so here is the fullness when we're grafted in. And it also, in that scripture, made a big deal about those who are unbelieving in Judaism will be thrown out, but they can always come and be grafted back in. What's really interesting to me is what has happened over all the years since the scriptures. Okay. Since the scriptures, I would say in the first few centuries after the scriptures, there was a new religion that was created, Christianity, right? And it has been for a long time that Christians are trying to get all of the world, including Jews, to come and be grafted into Christianity, right? I mean, we're trying to convert everybody to Christianity, but not get Gentiles to convert to Judaism, right? Which is really interesting, because that's kind of the opposite of what Scripture is talking about there. It's talking about, what are you doing? Don't be arrogant and brag. The root is still, you're being supported by the root, which is the olive tree, which is Judaism, right? Well, this whole thing has made a lot of sense to me, and only because the Father, I didn't have anyone in my whole life. I didn't have anyone who ever taught me about Judaism. No one. I mean, I was taught a lot about Christianity. I went to a very good Bible school. And so I have a degree in all of this stuff with Christianity. I never was taught about Judaism, which is crazy. I wasn't taught anything about it. I mean, I have only read the scriptures through my Christian lens my whole life. Okay, well, my whole Christian life. Okay. Ever since I was introduced to the scriptures. In fact, the first church that I was in told me that only the New Testament was what I should read because the Old Testament no longer applies. And so I shouldn't even read the Old Testament. I was in that church for quite a while, and I really thought that that was true. And there's a lot that I did not understand. I mean, still, there's a lot I don't understand, a lot, because I still don't have the Jewish understanding. I don't know any Jews. I don't think I know any Jews, except for some people around me who say I did a DNA test and I have Jewish roots. Okay. I get that. I appreciate that you're Jewish, but you're not really Jewish. Okay. You know, you have the blood. I get that. But there's something about the culture and the understanding that I don't get. And I don't know anyone who does. I'm just being honest. Okay. I'm learning, but I don't really get it yet. And I am so thankful that Yeshua started drawing me back to my roots. It was probably, gosh, maybe 2017 or something like that. 2017 or 2018, I don't know. It was when I was doing my first intro to engaging heaven classes. So a long time ago. Glee was probably around then. Yeah. I know Carmen was around because I met Carmen before any of that. Can you believe that? But here's what happened. The Lord told me that I needed to start celebrating the feasts, the biblical feasts. I did not know anything about them. I mean, the only thing I knew is I had been to a couple Seder meals, which are the Passover meals, through like Easter time at church. Okay. I was a part of a couple churches who had these Seder meals as part of the Easter celebration. And so that's all I knew is that feast, Passover. Okay. I didn't know about any of the other feasts. And I mean, I'd heard of some, but yes, this is Onyx. He's like, what are you doing and why aren't you paying attention to me? I'm sorry, Onyx. Anyway, I know. He's like putting his snout in my lap. Sorry. Very distracted. But I didn't know what to do when the Lord told me I'm supposed to celebrate the feast. I felt like a complete idiot. I didn't know where to start. And so to be quite honest, I just kind of didn't prioritize it because I didn't know what I was doing. And then he started bringing the feast to me. And it was like I couldn't avoid it in a good way, but he started having people, hey, I want to invite you to this thing. And I would learn more. And then he would start pouring out more and I'd research more and all of these things. And I started celebrating the feast. And what happened was so interesting. When I started to be grafted in, this is what happened. Okay. You would think the grafting in happened like when I, believed in Yeshua. But actually, I believe that my grafting in happened when I started celebrating the biblical feasts. And why this happened to me is that I had things unlocked that had been dormant. And it really, when I studied this scripture, everything started clicking. Like, this is what happened to me. I didn't understand it. And I still, when I celebrate the feast, I mean, I celebrate like a Gentile. I I don't do things traditionally. I just look at, here's what people do. This is why they do it. So I just do it with the Lord. I don't even understand it. But I say that I understand to the amount that he unlocks, I guess. But that's it. But what has happened to my family as well when we started celebrating the feast is totally different. Okay, I'll give you a picture of my family because most of you don't know my family. Um, I have 3 kids. I have raised them. I homeschool. They've been raised in the church. We engage here, you know, all of that, right? Here's what happened to me. The very first feast that I celebrated for real was a Passover feast. Um, and I was invited by someone in our intro class to come to her church because she had a couple extra tickets to this Seder meal. And I thought it was going to be like this little tiny church somewhere across the nation or something. And she's like, "Oh, I'm only 3 hours away from you." I'm like, "Wow, okay." So we traveled 3 hours away to this church that was actually a huge, huge Passover Seder thing. Like, to me, huge. I had never been to a Seder that was more than like 20 people, and this was like 750 people at this meal. And the other thing is, they did this mikvah, which is they did an immersion service there too. And I had so much unlocked at this thing. The Lord started confirming these things about when I trans relocated to Israel and all of these things that I thought, I don't know. I don't know if you have these experiences, but it's like you believe the experiences are real that you're having with the Lord, but you're also like, am I crazy? I might be making this up. Okay. So it's kind of this weird dichotomy of thought, even like, I believe it's real, but is it real? I think it's real, you know. And when I saw them playing these videos about this ministry they had in Israel, it was the exact same thing that I went to. I trans relocated. I saw these people. I saw the curtains. Like, I was at this exact place, and it confirmed so much in me about what I had experienced. And okay, if you guys can just pause for a second. My dog is scratching at my door and driving me nuts. I'm just gonna let him out real quick, okay? Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, hello again. All right. Well, anyway, I brought my son with me, Soren, to this Passover feast. And the lady who invited us gave him a shofar. And it was because everyone, all of the men at this thing brought their shofars. And there was a time when everyone was blowing their shofars together. And so she knew this was going to happen, and so gave that to him. And that day, something unlocked in both of us. And we went back home and started talking about it as a family. And what does this look like? What how is this us? You know, all of these things. And the Lord that day told us to quit celebrating any of the holidays that were based in paganism and to only celebrate the Jewish feasts instead. Well, this was hard for us because we have been very American Christians. And, you know, everybody is excited about Christmas and all of these things, Easter. And the Lord showed us all of this stuff about the basis of all of it and how it was created. And we had to give them up. I'm not saying you must do this, by the way. I'm telling my personal experience right now. And we had 3 little kids. Okay. Soren was the oldest, and he was what, 9 or something? 9. He was 9. So I had 9, 8, and 6. Okay. Now, who knows? Little kids love Christmas. Okay. They really love Christmas. And especially here in the United States. I don't know about everybody else, but here they cannot wait for all the presents and all this stuff. And so anyway, I was a little dreading this, and how to tell my family and, you know, all of the different things. How are we going to navigate this? And how are we going to be a part of the church who also celebrates Christmas? And, you know, it was really weird. And to feel like an outsider was actually probably really good for us because it made us feel a little bit more like the Jewish people, who were outsiders in what they celebrated. And I thought that we were going to be celebrating the Jewish feasts, only the ones that were found in Leviticus. And because I really didn't think there was anything to all this other stuff that the Jews did, like Hanukkah and all this stuff. Well, it came time, it was around Christmas time, and I was not planning on celebrating Hanukkah. And I was in an Engaging Heaven mentoring group, and we were engaging the heavenly realms together. And all of a sudden, I am at this table with Yeshua, and there's this big menorah in the center. But it wasn't a menorah like I'd seen. It was a 9-stem menorah. I'd only seen a 7-stem menorah. So I was like, what is this? What are we doing? And he said, we're celebrating Hanukkah together. And I was like, oh, we're doing this. This is a thing. And I was literally shocked. And it happened to be the first day of Hanukkah. And I didn't even know because it wasn't on my radar. And all of a sudden I'm like, and he started giving me these principles at this table. And he told me that at the feasting table, and this is like for all feasts, he told me this, okay? At the feasting table, there is peace, provision, and protection. I will never forget that. And thankfully, there are 3 P's, so I can always remember. But peace, provision, and protection. I didn't really understand, but I was thankful. But I didn't know what to do. I didn't even know anything about Hanukkah, except for it like had to do with lights. And so after this experience with him, I went to my family and I said, I don't know how to celebrate Hanukkah, but we're celebrating Hanukkah. So we don't have a menorah. Let's just go buy candles across the street, and at least we'll have 9 candles. We'll put one in the middle, and, because this is what you do. And so I just quickly read up on Hanukkah. Okay. I'm just, what is Hanukkah about? And it takes you to one of the scriptures that is in the Apocrypha, um, in the Maccabees. Okay. So it has to do with the Maccabees. Well, I never even read that. Okay. I didn't know anything about what that was. And so I did all this research, and wow. Okay. So what we did is we just, as a family, we had a meal that we were feasting together. We lit these candles, and we did one, the center candle, and we called it the Christ candle. Okay. And so we lit the Christ candle, and the Christ candle then lit the first candle on the first day. And we celebrated the first day, and we told the story of the miracle that God did with Hanukkah. And so every day, that's all we did. We just took turns telling the story, all the kids, and lighting the candles, and everybody took turns doing that and telling the story and celebrating the Lord. And we worshiped together and we ate together, and that's it. There were no gifts. There was nothing, we didn't play dreidel. We didn't do all the things. But this became their favorite holiday. And I was shocked, because this holiday had nothing to do with commercialism. And it didn't have to do with all the quote fun things. And so I was really surprised that they loved it so much. But we were very intentional about feasting time, family time, celebrating the Lord, all of this. That's what it was. It was true worship. And that, it unlocked something in our family. Which sounds so silly, but that had just never been a passion for any of them. And I wanted it to be, I just didn't know how to create it. I tried to create it with Christmas and telling the story of Jesus and the birth. Nothing did it like just being grafted in. And everything shifted that day. And then, it's so funny, because now even the favorite feasts aren't even the traditional Levitical feasts. They love them, but it's different. Now the favorite feast is the Feast of Esther, and it's Purim. And I don't know if you know anything about that, but you should read Esther. And there was another feast that was created at the end of that book, and it said it shall always be celebrated from this point on. Well, guess who never celebrates it? Everyone. Okay. It's so crazy. All of these feasts, it says they shall never end. It didn't say they shall never end until Yeshua. Yeshua even celebrated these feasts. It even showed him celebrating Hanukkah. Like, it's crazy how we just think, no, it doesn't apply anymore because we're Christians. It doesn't make sense, but that's what we've been taught our whole lives. And so anyway, now Purim, which is it is the funnest one of all of them. It's kind of like, if you would put Halloween, Easter, and Christmas together, but actually focus on the Lord, this would be Purim, because it's where you are required to eat sweets. You're celebrating the sweetness of the Lord. You are supposed to dress up in costumes. This is something that you are supposed to do, because Esther was made to look like someone that she wasn't, to be able to become the queen. You are celebrating with gifts. So you give people gifts. You also give gifts to the poor. These are things that you do at Purim. And then you have all this celebrating. It's like the biggest celebration ever. Okay. So you read the whole story, the whole book of Esther. which is a lot for people, except for when you do that, every time the name Esther is read, you cheer. Whoa! And then every time the name Haman is mentioned, you boo, boo. And it gets everybody involved and excited to hear the scriptures. And so anyway, these have become really special to us now. And this is something that now I mean, at first it was just Soren and me. And then it was all of our family. And then it was my extended family. And then now we have tons of people we invite to these celebrations, and everybody comes and we blow shofars and we do all these different mikvahs and things. And it's so interesting. The one time everyone wants to get together is the feast. And one of the things the Lord showed me is that it doesn't have to be about doing everything right and having the religious aspect to it. In fact, it shouldn't be that. It needs to be spending it with Him, dedicating your heart and your life to Him, and remembering the goodness of the Lord. And one of the things that celebrating the feasts do for me is it really helps me connect back to the real roots. Because it's easy to get off and kind of create our own religion, whatever it is. I mean, it is. I can talk about trans relocating all day long. And if it has nothing to do with my roots, then I'm losing the point, right? And it's like this with everyone, with all of us. And so we need to get back to what are our roots? Why did Yeshua come? To release the kingdom into the earth. That's what he said. You need to focus on the kingdom of heaven. That was the whole point of him coming, to bring people back to his Father, those who had been lost, who were following another. Come back to my Father. And so that's what this whole thing is about. You guys know that I celebrate Sabbath. This is a way for me to connect back weekly. Because for me, I need more than even just, I think it's not just me. This is why the Father created all this. It's so that we always are connected back to Him for real. But this has been very important to me. At first, it was really hard. I say it's really hard because it seemed like a chore, both Sabbath and the feast. Now I look at it as holiday. Okay, I really do. Like, this is great. You mean we have 3 days that we're not supposed to work? Sweet. Like, this is great. I love it. I block off those days on the calendar. I don't care what people say. I'm not doing that because that's my mandated holiday. So I get vacation every time. I get vacation every week. Do you know, I look forward, yesterday I was looking forward to just chilling. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to have a million things on the calendar. So yesterday was Sabbath. And, I have been trying to work out every day. And yesterday I was so tired and I did not want to go to the gym. And I was like trying to force myself to go to the gym. And the Lord was just like, hey, remember, this is a no work day. And I'm like, oh, you're right. I don't need to force myself to do that. That's work for me today. It's not always work for me, by the way. But yesterday it was work for me. I did not want to go. It was work. And the Lord said, you get to relax. I am telling you, you get to relax. So I relaxed. And you know what's cool is that sometimes it's just about enjoying the peace with Him. That's what it's about. Like, how Glee, you said, I guess I didn't realize I could just go hang out with them and receive all this peace, and I could just be in peace. When you were talking about that, in my mind, I said, that's the true church. because the true church is all of the heavenly beings, all of the cloud of witnesses. It's all of those who are in heaven. And we know we are seated with him in the heavenly realms, so we are heavenly beings, right? That's the true church. And when you are with the true church, you receive what they have, and you get to fellowship in ease and in peace. And it doesn't have to be about working. I mean, I don't know if this has happened to you, but I've been in ministry my whole adult life. So like Carmen has been a nurse her whole life. She knew she was supposed to be a nurse from the beginning, and she has been a nurse her whole life. That's how I have been with being in ministry. I knew I was supposed to be in ministry right away. And so I have always been in ministry. That's been who I am. In the church, it has been a lot of work. I'm just going to tell you from this perspective. Every time, I mean, even if I wasn't going to be the minister and I was just going and visiting the church to be able to receive and all of that, it still felt like work. Connecting with people felt like work. Even worshiping sometimes felt like work. It has been different for me. When I am just with the Lord and spending time with him in my intimate times, it never feels like work. It doesn't. I mean, it feels like my safe place, my place I get to just be fully myself. I don't have to worry about impressing people. Did I wear the right thing? Am I, saying the right thing? Am I friendly enough? I don't have to worry about any of that. I don't have to worry about that with any of the heavenly beings either. They appreciate me for me, and I appreciate them for them. And that is something that really is the true church to me. So when you guys come to class, this is the true church. That's what I feel like. I have people who say, well, do I need to go to a church? I'm like, well, that's whatever the Lord leads you to do. Okay. But I am in church all the time. I am not neglecting the fellowship of believers. Okay. Like for me, I'm around believers all the time, every day. This is my life. We are the church. That's how I believe. And so when people say, oh, what church do you go to? Well, I think of church the same way as you. That's kind of how I always say. Anyway, Pearl, you had a question or a comment?
So I was just reading from my notes. Glee mentioned something and you corroborated that. So how can you celebrate Sabbath, or what do you do to celebrate Sabbath? And the second question is, how can I be at church and let's say I'm in the praise and worship team and it not feel like work? I'm not in the praise and worship team, by the way.
Okay. So how can you do this and it not feel like work? Well, that has been
to go to ordinary church, to go to an ordinary church and do things in church and it not feel like work.
Okay. I think that that's a complicated question because ordinary church, here's my opinion. Okay. This is my opinion. Do not take this as gospel. Okay. But my opinion is ordinary church is work. Ordinary church, how ordinary church is done is very performance based. And even if it's genuine, there is generally we have to follow this order. We have to do this thing. We can only hear from these certain people, all of that, right? This is my experience, by the way. I don't know what kind of churches y'all go to, but or have been to or whatever, but this is my experience. I don't know. Okay, let me tell you the journey of the ministry I'm a part of right now, the Source. Okay. We started out as a church plant, a new church. We had so much unraveling to do. I mean, so much. A bunch of us came from another church that we church planted. But there was so much religion in us. So much. It was constantly, oh, what did we do wrong? We didn't have enough people here today. Like these certain things, because that's the mindset is success is measured upon if people show up. Or, oh, not very many people responded at the altar call. So what did we do wrong? A lot of these sort of things. There was so much unraveling to do. We have to do, one fast song, 3 slow songs, and 1 medium song, in worship. I mean, the list could go on, you guys. I mean, it has to be in this order. Oh, we don't know this person. We can't allow them to minister, this whole thing. We went through so much unraveling that eventually the Lord gave us this huge blueprint and told us we are no longer to be a church. We are supposed to be a ministry to the church. And so we are supposed to help those who are the church, especially those in ministry, to be able to be refreshed and have a place to land that is soft and easy and has no agenda. So we abandoned the we're a church mentality. We still had gatherings. We called it, I think like disciple something, like, I don't know. I can't remember, but it was basically like a focus on a night together. We worshiped, we did, but it was very free flowing, whatever the Lord led. So if someone had a song that they felt led to sing, they would come up and sing. If someone had a word, then they would give a word. If someone had some sort of prophecy, they would do that. And it was very free and very non-judgmental. This was kind of the point, that we would be such a soft place to land that people could practice their gifts and be okay if they got it wrong. Okay. And so we had a lot of love. That was kind of the driving thing, was love. And we morphed and changed and lost 1 million people. And it was actually really good. Losing people was not a bad thing, because what happened is we ended up losing a lot of the religion. That's what happened. People didn't like it because there wasn't religion anymore. And I say that we're still everybody is always unraveling in religion still, I think, but in general. So the gatherings that we have had are not like normal church at all. People are pretty shocked to come into our space and realize that they could have a voice, because it's not normal in churches. It's not normal. If you go into a normal church and you're on a worship team and you're trying to let the Spirit flow, it's very hard. In fact, I was just talking to, there's a guy that actually, he raised me in the faith, he and his wife, when I was young. And the Lord told me to contact him to be the worship leader for the Refresh conference. And so I contacted him, and the Lord just started pouring out all these things to him about what's supposed to happen at the Refresh conference. So he knew he was supposed to say yes, and gave him all these different things and started giving him new songs like here, this is what it's supposed to be. He had no idea what it was supposed to be about, except for the Lord just showed him all these things. So when we met together, I'm like, this is exactly what the Lord showed us. It was very exciting. But he was so excited because he said, I have really missed this kind of worship. Because he knows, first of all, he knows me. Everything is very just be led by the Spirit, right? And one of the things that I said, everybody who comes to the Refresh conference is going to be very open to what the Spirit leads. It's not going to be, you have to do these songs that everybody knows. If you just have prophetic time in the Spirit's fine. And so anyway, he said, I love this kind of worship where it can just be me leading. And he said, because, when you have a worship team, he leads worship at a church every Sunday morning. Okay. So with a worship team and all of that, he said, when you have a worship team, it's just really hard to flow in the Spirit, because you're having to adjust at the same time. And it's really difficult. And even though the church he goes to is very open to the Spirit, it's really hard to do that when you're leading worship like that, which I know because I used to be a worship leader. And so it is hard to be led by the Spirit and focused in on what the Lord is doing when you are in a team like that who is taught to do these 3 chords in this order. And then, you know what I'm saying? Does this make sense? It can be done. It's just really hard. So that was a very long explanation of we don't do church the same way. But I really think Sabbath. Okay. So for Sabbath, what I do, at first, I just didn't work. Okay. That's all I did for Sabbath was I just didn't work. And I didn't really know what else to do except to focus on the Lord more. Okay. Focus on the Lord and don't work. That's what I did. And I think that's a good place to start. But the Lord showed me last year that I was missing out on some of the ancient ways that were supposed to be re-released into the body. And this goes back to the whole Jewish roots thing. I had, you know how I like to discard religion? You've figured this out by now, I hope. I like to discard religion. Sometimes I throw the baby out with the bathwater. And this is what happened for Sabbath. Okay. I do that with the feast sometimes. I think, I know this is traditional, but it has no spirit on it. I'm not doing anything the traditional way. To some extent, that's good, but not to the full extent. There are some things that are actually quite important. And this is one thing the Lord showed me about Sabbath last year. I wasn't even having like a normal Sabbath meal, which is extremely traditional. You cook Friday before like sundown, okay? And then you have basically a mini feast. That's what a Sabbath is. Every Sabbath is supposed to be a mini feast. Okay. So you are supposed to feast and you are not supposed to fast. So traditionally, people cook on Friday during the day, everything they're going to need for Sabbath, and they have a big Sabbath meal. And usually Friday night to kick everything off. They blow the shofar at the first star in the sky. They light the candles. And traditionally, the woman lights, well, they don't, the woman lights the candles and says this blessing, or says the blessing while a man will light the candles, but they cover their eyes and say this blessing. And you sing blessings over the children. The husband sing blessing over the wife. And this is the traditional way. You also have a blessing to welcome the Sabbath angels. Isn't this interesting? There's a lot more mysticism in Judaism than you realize. A lot. We have not been taught that at all. But this, it's so wonderful. When the Lord told me to start doing those things again, I didn't know what to do. So I just like looked up stuff on the internet. What's the Sabbath prayers and stuff? I didn't know anything. And so then I look up on YouTube, this Sabbath prayer song, whatever. And so we're just listening to these things. First day I did this, I had my 2 girls with me. Soren wasn't with me that day. And I also had my niece. And my niece is 8. Okay. So she was probably 7 at that time. And we just had a meal together, got the candles out. Again, I still don't even have a menorah. Normally you would do a 7-stem menorah or at least a two candles. Okay. But we got out the candles. We lit the candles. I tried to do the blessing with my eyes closed, but I can't do it because I don't remember it all. So I just kind of do it and then kind of close my eyes and then, whatever. Because this is me still trying to fumble around as a Gentile. And so I'm doing this, but we then listen to the songs and they love this so much. They're getting blessed with the blessings and all of this. And then they're like, oh, can we worship to this song? And they just started asking for these different songs to worship to, which was totally organic. It wasn't planned to have more worship, but we got into it so much that that's what they wanted. And it was so special. And I realized it's that same thing that happened with the being grafted into the feasts. That thing got unlocked again. And so some of these traditional things are actually quite powerful and something that we should celebrate. I don't know if you guys have you ever seen the show Chosen, The Chosen?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen, but I'm planning to. Yeah.
Okay. Here's what you need to do, you guys. You should watch The Chosen first of all. It gives such a really good, like, Christian but cultural understanding of Yeshua. They do a fantastic job. Is it totally 100% accurate? I am sure not, but it is really good. One of my very favorite episodes is in the first season. I don't even know, maybe episode 3 or something like that, but it is an episode on Shabbat. And it is so good. It shows really the tradition and the culture of what it looked like then. And it also kind of, one of the things is there's this woman who, well, you really have to go watch the show. Please watch the show. Promise me this. You can do it for free. You don't have to have a subscription. Anyway, whatever. Watch the show. But it's so good because it shows someone who has been thrown out of Judaism because of demonic possession, comes back to the fold, and she was not going to have a normal Sabbath dinner, and basically Jesus invited himself to come to her Sabbath dinner, and she didn't know what she was doing, and it just reminded me of me, like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm here. Am I doing the right thing? All I can do is cook some food and welcome you in. That's what it felt like. And so anyway, I would urge you to do that. It's not in the homework, so just do it on your own. But
Yeah.
yes, ma'am.
Oh, yeah. Just
Mhm.
I just want to share and also like ask something because a few years ago, maybe, yeah, that time I met you, and before I met you, I was also celebrating, but it was just me. I don't know. I was just also drawn for a certain time with Hanukkah. I know it's like the menorah seven. Are they 7 or 9?
9 on Hanukkah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Hanukkah. And then I remember it was Purim, and then I was really celebrating it. I was like so delighted to celebrate it. And I felt led at that time. And I feel like not all or was able to really have that desire maybe, but
Yeah.
I was. And I think no one really influenced me. It was just I think Hazel really told me about it, but it was something that really stirred up on me at that time. And you know what, Christina, I remembered when I did that, not even knowing how or like there was even a time I joined some group of believers. They were celebrating Purim in my local city. It's not even my church, but I just wanted to. um I think it was the first time I did, but I did celebrate for some time, like on my own. Like, how do I do this? Like, I was just posting something. I remember that, and it was really very powerful. I remember that time. I don't know. It felt to me like I really, not, of course, I really belong to Christ, but it felt like I really belong. I
Yeah.
don't know. It felt like I don't know. I don't dare say this. I don't know if I have a Jewish DNA. I felt like I'm Jewish. I don't know. I don't. It's just something that I felt like something stirred within me. So I understand what you feel, because I did have a very big desire. It was. I think I really did not just go on with it because no one was doing it. But if like it wasn't a common thing. But I remember that I really, really had fun. And it was one of the most. I think like yeah, it was really a heart to heart thing. I think I feel like I don't know. I feel like I was a Jew. I felt like how it feels to be a Jew at that time. Like I felt like I was chosen, like not in a way where, oh, because you're in Christ, you're chosen. I felt like I was really a Jew. It was a different kind of feeling. So I understand how you feel.
Cool.
Even if I don't have a Jewish DNA, I don't know, but I just felt that way. So yeah, just sharing. Or maybe that's the question. Is that kind of the power that it brings, like you feel so connected, or like there's a different kind of connection? Yeah, because I did feel that.
I think it awakens that DNA.
Oh,
Really. Um, Carmen, are you okay? Oh, can't really tell. Are you okay, Carmen?
you're mute. You're not mute, Carmen.
It's okay. Okay, I hope she's okay. Looks like she's trying to find us.
Phone trouble. Phone trouble.
What is she saying?
Phone
Phone
trouble.
trouble.
Oh, okay. Okay. Phone trouble. Sorry. Okay, good. Well, so
You know, when you said that when you celebrate Hanukkah, that there is peace, provision, and protection, is that within the DNA of
Mhm.
celebrating
I really
Hanukkah?
felt
it
that too, the
isn't just
safety.
Hanukkah. That's actually for all of the feasts. It's just that was shown to me at Hanukkah. Yeah. And I know that's for everyone. I don't know. I don't think it has to do with DNA. I think it has to do with the practice, actually. Because I noticed that holiday. Okay, so Hanukkah is 8 days. That's why there are 9 stems. You have the Shamash candle in the middle, and then you have the 8 days that you're celebrating. And it's because of the miracle of the 8 days for the lights. That's why. So anyway, we celebrated for like 3 days. And then on the 4th day, and so we did this at sundown. That's what we did every time. And on the 4th day, I had to go deliver food to a lady who just had a baby. And so I was going to deliver food, and I started having almost got into a car accident. I was stressed. Um, it was like I didn't know what I should do about getting this food to her. It was just a mess. And I got back home, and when I got back home, we sat down to do the Hanukkah celebration just a little bit later. And I cannot tell you the amount of peace that came over me. And it's like the Lord just showed me, I told you at the table is peace, provision, and protection. And it was like, oh, I got it, but I didn't get it until that point. Like, there's something really important about being at the table and feasting together at that time. And so I don't fully understand it. You should just explore that with the Lord. But what I realized is there's something about the protection and the peace and the provision that happens at the table. And so when I say at the table, you understand, in the feast gathering for it, whatever. So
Do you think we get that with communion as well, Christine? Sorry, I'll chuckle in my glasses. Do you think we get that at communion as well when we celebrate with him at the communion table?
that's probably true. I would guess that. I guess I don't know for sure, but I do know that something very special in our epigenetics is released during that time, just like it is with feasts. And so in communion, for sure, that happens. So imagine, because at every Sabbath you have bread and wine. I don't know if you know that. At You do. In fact, when Yeshua at the Last Supper said everything about the bread and wine, and that's where our whole communion thing comes from. That was a Passover feast. They were at a Seder meal, and that is part of the Seder meal. And so epigenetic is like, for instance, I'm going to use this example because you'll probably understand it, but there are certain things that are passed down in our DNA that come from the experiences of our, say, grandmothers. Okay, grandmother, usually it is only a couple generations back. Okay, epigenetics are. It can be more than that, but it's something that comes from their experience that they didn't receive in their genetics, but it is transformed something in their DNA that is then passed down. So, for instance, you'll see a lot of people or species or whatever adapting in ways that they are just born and now they have adapted to something, right? You'll see this in today with technology. Okay, if you have a baby being born, I notice this with my kids. I was not born into the same technology that my kids were born into. Now, especially Carmen, I know you for sure weren't. At least I had computers, but you didn't have computers when you were born. So, I know that you have seen a huge change, and I'm sure computers are still very hard for you. It's like technology does not come easy to you. You did not grow up on it. It's something that is still a little bit foreign. So you probably noticed with your grandkids, they're like geniuses compared to you when it comes to technology, right? And they're born like that. I mean, I remember walking in one time, I walked into my house and my little 18-month-old was up on the dining room table, laying down with her iPad, like in this Bible app, playing these Bible games as 18 months old. She's still in diapers. She can't even poop, like, and she's doing all the things with this technology that's like, to her, that is her nature. It literally is her nature. She was never at a time, there was never a time when she had to learn how to swipe on the thing. Like, she just innately knew because of epigenetics. Because what happens is we learn these things and then it's passed down into our genetic code. And so that's what epigenetics is. You'll have trauma that does that in people. It's not just good things, sadly, but it could be bad things, traumatic things where it causes, now this person has this trauma response to something. But this is how people and animals adapt. That's why immediately, a dog gets scared. Or have you ever seen, this is funny. Have you ever seen the cat videos where they freak out with a cucumber? Oh Lord, you just need to look up cat videos cucumber and you will die laughing. It's so funny. You will live laughing, I should say. Okay. Well, one of the things that happens, okay, I have Onyx. You saw Onyx, my dog. He's 9 months old. He's still puppy, even though he's a big boy. But he gets scared of pretend snakes. Has he ever seen a real snake? No, he has never seen a snake in his whole life, but he is scared of it because he thinks it's a snake. This is the epigenetic response. This is something that happens. He did not learn this on his own. It's something that was passed down in his DNA, that he knows that that's something that he should be scared of. And so it's the same sort of thing. Oh, Glee's like, no, I know. But this is what happens with us in good and bad things. So epigenetics, that's what that is. Sorry. Why do you ask me questions that I then explain for 20 minutes? I do not understand. I'm the
I love it, Christine. Yeah.
Same, such excellent explanation. It's just so lovely to hear your examples and explanations.
Oh, good. Okay, good.
I do get this is what God also wants to us to, like conquer and deal and heal the epigenetic stuff, because I know He's showing that to me a lot. Like, it's not even the things I'm not even scared of it, or they're not my experiences. They my
Exactly.
bloodlines experiences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's embrace the good stuff and let the Lord unlock the good things. And then also let him discard and just throw out into the fire those branches that need to be thrown out. Right. Let's do it. I really think that that's what we're called to do. We really need to be grafted in. Oh, this is what I was going to say real quick. We have 5 minutes left. So October 2nd at sundown, I believe. Yep. Is Rosh Hashanah, the Feast of Trumpets. Okay. And so it's the start of the fall feasts. Now the fall feasts come quickly. And so I would just urge you to do a little bit of research. See what the Lord calls you to do, if anything. Okay. And just look into it, because this is coming very soon. And so if all you do is buy some apples and honey and listen to a shofar on your phone, celebrate the sweetness of the Lord. I want you to just go, okay, what does this mean? Because you will hear us going, Shana Tova. Okay, that means have the sweetness of the new year. It is the new year in the Hebrew calendar. And so you will get to celebrate everything that happens with the new year. And so things get unlocked around that time and your books are opened. And so there's going to be a lot of really cool stuff that happens if you are engaged in it. So I just recommend that you ask the Lord about it. You do a little bit of research and you go, okay, what is this stuff really about? Lord, is there anything you want me to do to participate? Okay. And if you don't feel led, you are not shunned. But I want you to be open, because truly we have not done a great job of embracing our Hebrew roots. We haven't. Look at that. A prophetic calendar. Is it a Hebrew calendar on the inside? Oh, you are muted. We don't know what you're saying.
It's all about the feasts of Israel.
Nice.
I was just led to buy this and to start celebrating Sabbath, but I didn't have a clue of what to do, when to start, what it's all about. And I bought this when I went to the Liz Wright and Justin Abraham conference.
Yay, that's cool.
Can you send me the title, please?
I will.
Why don't you put it
Yeah.
in the 201 class, okay? In that, and then that's awesome. And I would recommend not doing what I did and I had this in my mind that I had to do all the research to figure everything out before I started. And you know how I said the Lord just brought it to me? I would recommend, if you're feeling led to it, start immediately. Just ask him, what do you want me to do? And then do the research. So Hanukkah looks very different today than it did the first Hanukkah for me. Okay. So we do dreidel because I learned it actually has significance and it's pretty cool and it's fun. You know, we do a lot of things like this that we never did before. What? Why are you giving a sad face?
Yeah, no, not for the festivals, but because I realized I love festivals and I never got to celebrate the Jewish festivals. You know what I mean? Like I've been celebrating random festivals, but not this one. Yeah, I really have a thing for festivals.
That's cool.
So that's why I'm sad. Like, okay, God redeemed the time.
Yeah, you don't have to be sad. And you're young. Oh my goodness. I mean, you get to create this culture now. And that's one thing that I was very sad about, having no one around me who celebrated any of
Yeah.
this and being the freak show basically. And now I have tons of people around me who do this. And it isn't because they're new people. The Lord said, "You are the creator of my culture." And so I'm a culture bringer. I must be. I have to bring the heavenly culture and I have to bring whatever culture that brings. And so, why do a lot of people celebrate this? Because I'm like, come along. You want to come over? I know it's weird, but this is what we do. Do you know that in my whole extended family, they don't even really understand all the things, but they love playing dreidel? Because guess what? We do that. We light the candles and we play dreidel even if we're over there at their house. This year, Hanukkah starts on Christmas Day, which is weird. And so, you know, it changes all the time because the Hebrew calendar and Gregorian calendar don't go together. And so it's always at a different time, but it's interesting. You'll influence the culture and it will be a little weird at first, and then it will be fun and everyone will love it.
I love that.
You
Yes, I would.
wanted us to remind you about the movie or something?
Yeah.
Oh, you want, okay, not everyone will like it. I'm just warning you. But if this has to do with the timeline stuff, okay? Everything Everywhere All at Once. Have you heard of it? Okay. Well,
I don't like it. I've seen it.
I love it. And I love it especially because it has to do with all of the merging of the timelines and all of these different. See, you know why I like it. I mean, that's why I thought Glee would really like it. I do not think Carmen will like it. You could watch it if you want, but I'm just telling you, and that's my recommendation.
Oh yeah, I love timeline series. I've watched loads of Chinese stuff. They have those freaky timeline, movies. They have a lot too, Christina. I recommend a lot from them too. Like they make a lot of those kinds of video. Yeah, but yeah.
Yes.
I will. Thank you for sharing that, Christine.
Yes, it's very funny. Also weird, very weird. But I enjoy that sort of thing. So anyway, All right, cool. Well, it's 11:02, you guys. We should stop, but I love you guys. Mwah.
I love you all. See you again.
All right, bye.
Bye.